to y'all in a timely manner. Let's get into these quick hits, man. Oh no, look at me jumping around. All right. I ain't even following my format. Don't worry, I'll edit all this out. Don't worry. All right.
She's your queen to be, a queen to be forever, a queen who'll do whatever.
What's up, family? We got a special jam-packed episode today. Man, we got a Classmate Konnect. We got a queen episode with the first lady. And we just go, man, I don't even know. It's jam-packed. Like I said, I can't even finish my sentences. But we got Y to the V to the E. Eve is in the house. How you doing, Eve?
I'm well. How about you?
I'm doing great. Hey, thanks for taking the time to join us.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you. So listen here, man. I gotta tell the family how we know each other, right? Almighty MSU Red Hawk. And we may or may not have, statute of limitations is over. We may or may not have been completing our rounds when we was resident advisors.
Right.
We may have got that text like, I can't, not tonight.
It wasn't an emergency, so we just had to make a group decision like.
Yeah. We're not saying it didn't happen, but we're not saying it did either.
Right.
So, y'all, it's been a minute. How you been doing?
I've been well, man. As good as, life can be, with everything going on, just trying to, grow, adapt, learn, live a great life.
This is true. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Right.
We'll get into a little bit later. So, your goals. How have you been staying focused on your goals, like with Corona in 2020 and then 2021? Like, what methods have you been using? How do you stay tuned in with everything that's been happening?
I definitely sleep as much as possible, watch a lot of Netflix, honestly, and just try and limit like what the media shows us, because again, you experience a lot of what's going on firsthand, right? Depending on the people that are around you. And then it's like, you're constantly reminded of like all the horrible things, and people don't shed light on a lot of the great things. So I think it's just important to just take it day by day, but definitely sleep and watch enough Netflix and eat well. You know what I mean? Like that's all I can ask.
Eating well, sleeping and drinking water, minding your business, huh?
Exactly.
Cool. Well, I asked you to be on here because you're doing something a lot of people that I know aren't doing, right?
Yeah.
And that is you're in the process of medical school, correct?
Correct.
All right. And so what year are you in right now?
So I just completed my third year. So I'm in that like weird space between my third and my fourth year, but I have board exams to take. So I'm currently studying for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do the board exams consist of, or like how is that helping you progress? You break that down a little bit?
So essentially it's a licensing exam to make sure that like medical students are on track, right, to pursue a career in medicine. So it's essentially testing you on like foundational stuff that you should have learned like your first 2 years. And then it's also like testing you on like patient interaction and like ethics and things like that. So, I mean, I don't know if they're really necessary, but but I think it definitely weeds out, a lot of people. So I guess that's a good thing because you want to make sure people are committed and like willing to learn forever. You know what I mean? So.
Definitely. Because one thing I kind of hear about doctors versus nurses is that whole bedside manner thing. You know what I mean? And sometimes some doctors can be short with the patient. So Y'all brilliant, but don't be a jerk, man. Not you ain't a jerk, but you know what I'm saying. Don't be a jerk, my G.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's like a lot of people don't realize like there's so much going on in their heads at that time. And it's just like, it's still not an excuse, but it's just like when you're providing the care for 20 people at the same time and something could go wrong, it's like you're not really paying attention to the details that other people deem important. You know what I mean? But hopefully, you know, I will change that, right? Especially amongst like, my other peers and my colleagues.
Definitely. I know you will. I know you will. So if we rewind the track a little bit, can we talk about or explore how did you get to this point, and like when did you decide on medicine? You know?
Yeah, this is like a complicated answer, just because there's like many levels. So like my mom always tells me the story that I've always said that I wanted to be a doctor when I was a kid, which is crazy because like my mom would buy me Barbie dolls and like I would like give them the thorough makeover, like haircuts and like dye their hair. So my mom was always shocked, but I would always say, yeah, I'm trying to be a doctor. But it really wasn't until I was in undergrad and like essentially my grandmother had suffered from a stroke. And I was like, I don't even know enough to like help my family. And it's like, yeah, you have your doctors, but it's like, I wanted to be like firsthand in that position to say, hey, this medication isn't good. Hey, this is what you need to do. So at that point, I was like, okay, you know what, medicine is really looking good. Even though I was already majoring in biology at Montclair, I just hadn't like explored for real, or found that connection within myself of what would lead me to a career in medicine.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. So almost like a personal family happening
Right.
drove that commitment or that passion.
Right. And then my mom was like, look, I didn't think that you were really gonna do it. I'm like, yeah, me either, man.
Yeah, man. The biology and organic chemistry, all that crew up in Montclair State studying forever. I do remember that.
Yes.
Okay. So was there any other loves or passion that you considered pursuing alongside medicine?
Not completely. I mean, like I still want to be like a travel blogger. I still feel like I could be like a part-time stylist. You know, I still feel like I could do other stuff in the community, but like not like full-blown career. No.
Okay. Yeah. Medicine went out all the way.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So we still working up on the process here.
Right.
So you make up your mind, like, do you start picking out school first? Do you start studying for MCATs? Like, what's the process here?
So starting to study for the MCAT for sure. My journey was very different than a lot of traditional students. And by traditional, I mean like students that go from undergrad directly to medical school. So like, yeah, the MCAT was like a whole hiccup, but it's all right. I made it. But essentially, once that's like out of the way, then you kind of just pretty much base it off of the location of where you want to be. Not medical schools are essentially all the same. Like not one is better than the other. You don't need to go to an Ivy League. You literally just need to make sure they have a lot of the foundational skills that you want to learn. And if they are doing stuff in the community and that's what you want and that's what you're passionate about, or if they're like interested in global health, like that's the type of school that you need to make sure that you attend.
So for the listeners out there, don't put a lot of pressure on yourself off the name brand recognition there, right?
Exactly.
Find out if they can provide you what's in tune with your passion is what I'm hearing.
Correct.
And I heard community health. Oh man, can you expound on that a little bit?
I mean, I'm at Rutgers currently, and
in
Newark, right? In Newark, New Jersey, right, which is a underserved community. And I love Newark. I love being in Newark. I love the type of people that are in Newark. You know, there's good and bad, but it's just like I feel like Newark is so diverse, but Newark still is like, it's such a great place to call home. And so I feel like a lot of the people or things that I see, I may not see anywhere else, right? In areas that aren't as underserved or areas, you know, that they don't have like as many certain medical conditions or certain findings and things like that. So I feel like Newark is one of those like hidden gems. It has a great program. And, you know, a lot of people here like want to give back to the community. And a lot of like the faculty and the attendings have been here for years. Like when I tell you, they're like, yeah, I've been here for 30 years. I never thought to go anywhere else. I'm like, wow, like, okay, so tell me like, how is Newark then versus now? You know what I mean? Like, what?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's amazing how they have like great continuity with some of their patients, right? Patients that they've been seeing for years, or like they'll see the parents will have kids and then they'll see the kids. And I'm like, wow, like that's the type of, you know what I mean? Like, career that I want.
You mentioned it before. If I say MCATs, what comes to mind? I mean, you did pass. I know you said it was a hiccup. But,
ooh, stress.
Any tips to deal with that stress or anxiety?
Yeah, wow. It's like, so you have to believe in yourself, right? Especially if you got good grades or like, you know that medicine is for you. You just have to kind of like believe in yourself. And it's not to say that if you had bad grades, like, you know, this isn't for you, but you have to believe in your capabilities, right? And so the MCAT is one of those things. It literally is just there to weed people out, right? It's just an exam. It doesn't tell you the type of person that you are, the type of physician that you can be. It's essentially just to say, can you sit for this test, right? And so originally when I first took it, I had no business taking this exam. And I didn't realize that I didn't have any business taking this exam. And so when I got back to my school, I was like, oh, okay, so this isn't pretty, but we're going to figure it out. Essentially, like I took time off after undergrad. I ended up going back to get my master's. And then I was like blessed with this tutor who is like amazing. And that's literally like what like got me into medical school. Because when I tell you, I destroyed it the second time that I took it.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's all because I feel like, especially in like the minority community, I feel like test taking skills are one of those weird things that a lot of people don't have, right? Or like they're not as efficient as like people that aren't minorities. So I felt like that was always my problem. It wasn't that I wasn't smart enough. I just literally couldn't sit for an exam that they were catering towards, I feel like, a certain demographic. And so once I got the tutor, and mind you, my man is a genius. He used to work for Kaplan, right? And he taught the MCAT for years. And then you know what he did? He decided he's going to go into medical school, and he created his own version of like an MCAT prep course. And so essentially he is a student, like he's one of my peers, like, and he goes to Rutgers with me. So that's essentially how I got the connection. But when I tell you, he was literally a genius. And like, after I studied with him, I was like, wow, you know what? Like I really had it in me this entire time. I just literally needed somebody to show me the tips and the tricks on how to like understand what I'm reading and apply my knowledge.
I feel you. I mean, I didn't have a genius. But definitely, like I had to take my teacher licensing exam twice. Second time I killed it. Yeah. And then at Rutgers we had a review for a free review. Just saying, Rutgers is a good school. A free review for the social work licensure exam. Is same thing. They were just like, this is how you read the question. Right. This is what they're asking. Get out of your head and just take the test. You know what I mean?
Literally.
So, yeah, I feel you, man. Just getting a little bit more comfortable with that test.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to keep this trainer moving if that's okay with you.
Definitely.
All right. So you mentioned drinking water, getting rest, and studying. So what's your study routine like, and how have those habits evolved over time?
Wow, that's a really good question. I don't even think I really have an answer, because it's something that's constantly changing. So I'll like start with undergrad. I was one of those people, I used to study for an exam like 2-3 days before. Like that was it. I wouldn't be sitting here studying every day, every night. Like I wouldn't do it. I'd take the exam, do well, keep it pushing. When I got to medical school, well, even when I was getting my master's, I was still kind of doing the same thing.
Still making the dean's list doing that?
Right. But it was like, I was working full time, but I was like, I know I want to get into medical school, so I can't slack with these grades. So even if I only had the 3 days, I would like push it to the max for those 3 days. Once I got to medical school, I was like, wow, things are so different. Like you have to study every day, like every single day. And that was just something I just couldn't comprehend. Like it couldn't register in my mind that like, this is literally what I got to do. And I'm like, you know, I'm smart, but it's like, okay, yeah, you're in medical school. Everyone is smart. So it's like, all right, what are you going to do with that? So I'm like, dang, do I really have to study every day? And it wasn't really until like the end of my second year, which is horrible, that I realized that like certain things that were working for me. So I'm a auditory learner. So I would like go to lectures and like sometimes re-listen to the lectures. And then I'd rewrite my notes, because then I'm also like a visual learner in like when I write things. So it's like, I'll be taking the exam and I'll be like, this is in the top right corner and this, that, and the third, like of my own notes. So I had to go back and do that. But as I was pursuing third year, I was like, you know, third year is very different from your first 2 years of medical school in that you're actually in the hospital or you're in, you know, whatever clinic site, and you're actually working essentially alongside the doctors or the residents. And so you're having like a 9 to 5, sometimes a 6 to 6, you know what I mean? So it's like your study day is very different. So you'll try and do like questions or videos for like an hour or two. And then by then, essentially your brain is at its capacity for the day. So it's like you have to go to sleep, right? Because you have to get up the next day and you still have to see patients and you still have to do other assignments. But it's like your studying isn't limited Monday through Friday. Like your studying is literally every single day. So I feel like now I'm like better equipped. You know, I understand things a lot better once I actually like, you know, like make sure I sit and concentrate and not like flipping on my phone and, you know, texting and watching YouTube and social media in between. So it's like, once I like sit down and like study, I'm like, okay, I can do this.
That's crazy, because that's why I end up staying late tonight. That's what the presentation was about, like all these things that creep in on our time and we don't realize it, right?
Right.
And that YouTube monster is real. It'll send you down.
I know, right? And it's like that's like outside of like things of like caring for yourself. You gotta do laundry. You gotta meal prep. You know what I mean? You have to see or speak to your family or friends or people that are important in your life. You have to like, you know, perform other acts of self-care. Like you have to take care of yourself. So it's just like trying to study or trying to get everything done in one day. Sometimes it just seems like it's not possible, which it isn't, you know, for me most of the time. But that's also because I procrastinate. But I'll eventually get it together. This is actually hilarious. I don't know how time works in my favor towards the end, but it works out. And I'm like, you know what, God, thank you, because you knew I was about to struggle.
She said it works out in the end somehow.
Right.
Like, do you have a process for processing large amounts of information? Because I hear they're studying all the time, not just from what you just said, but like, it's just constantly coming at you, right?
Yeah, essentially. Honestly, and this switches up so much. Again, like I don't really have a clear answer. So one thing that I found was very useful in medical school is they have this like flashcard deck called Anki. And essentially either your classmates or you can build it. Sometimes I use the ones that are on Reddit because again, if there's people that have already made it and done well before me, I'm like, I'm gonna just use their resources, right? Just pass them on down. So it's like a flashcard app that you can actually put on your phone, your iPad, and like depending on what type of rotation or what I'm studying, I will literally just flip through those cards, and that helps for repetition, right? They give you 30 cards a day that you're looking at that are brand new, and then the next day you'll like repeat the ones that you kind of messed up and still learn new ones. And essentially by the time it's time for you to take your exam, you know what I mean? You would have retained a lot of that information. I also still believe in like rewatching videos, like rewatching lectures, especially if they're short. Even if I watch them at like a quicker speed, that way I can literally just retain a lot of the information. But it all varies. So whatever works, you know, it works.
Survive in advance. I feel you.
Right.
Yeah, you mentioned you was an auditory learner, so that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Recording lectures got to be a lifesaver, right? Got to be a lifesaver.
Exactly.
So, and preparing, I had found this article on Forbes talking about female physicians, more specifically African American female physicians, and it referenced that like Black female doctors only represent 2% of all physicians, man.
Right.
So that leads me into like, tell me your thoughts of serving your community as a woman of color in medicine.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's amazing, but it's also like nerve-wracking, right? It's amazing because it's like there's not a lot of people that look like me that care for people that look like me, which is essentially the position that I want to be in, right? I want to take
Mhm.
care of people that look like me. Just because, there's a lot of distrust in medicine with the minority communities, right? Which is understandable. So,
Tuskegee.
right, exactly. So it's like me being in that position, I feel like will change things, even if it's just in my immediate surroundings. It'll still, you know what I mean, make me feel good. It's also scary because it's like I got to be on my P's and Q's. You know what I mean? Like I have to make sure like I stand out. I have to make sure that I'm like reading the current literature like everyone else and like comprehending it. Just because it's like I don't want to ever be minimized, one, because I'm already a minority, you know what I mean, in medicine. So it's just like I don't want to be minimized any further. But again, like overall, it's just great. I think the patient interactions is what will always keep me going. When you could be talking to somebody that could be like my aunt or like my grandmother, and then, we're talking about her care. And then it's like at the end of the conversation, she's like, girl, what did you use for your twist out? And you're like, you know what? Like, oh girl, what can I go and get this at? And you're like, you know what? These are my people, right? Yeah, let me tell you, let me give you the tea.
That's awesome, man. It sounds like you making a real connection, man. That's awesome. Oh man, sitting up here connecting with the clients like that, so you know all the spots to eat and everything. You just
And they drop a lot of life gems. So I'm like, wow, like I don't think I could have ever gotten this experience anywhere else. So I'm grateful for that.
awesome, awesome. Are there like any med school myths that might be out there that you can debunk? I think you already did about like brand names of schools needing to get into the top school, but is there anything else that comes to mind?
Not really. I feel like a lot of them are true, which is crazy. It's hard, but it's rewarding. Yeah. Other than the name brand of schools, I feel like a lot of things can apply to a lot of people at different times. So it's not something that's going to always be applicable.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Oh, it's real. It's real in the field, y'all. It's real.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. So I'm gonna pull back the curtain a little bit more. Me and Eve talk, but it's like a couple of texts a year, and then we good. Yeah. She busy. I'm a globetrotter. You know what I mean? But she
Right.
always checks in. I always check in.
Right.
And during those texts, she would tell me like her people surrounding her is just awesome, man. So, could you give any examples of those people that are being shining examples of Black excellence for you?
Wow, there's so many. So I'm gonna start off first with my classmates. It's crazy because I actually hit it off with a group of Black girls and like we connected like that. So essentially I was in the library one day and the library was packed and one of them asked to sit with me and I was like, okay, great, no problem. And it literally was like we were so close after that. And then it was like always the Black girls always wanted to go to the library at the same time. So we just all ended up sitting at the same table, right? Again, the library is always packed, especially the one at Rutgers. Like there's not that many places for students to sit and study, especially when you have like public health, you have the dental school, you have a lot of other students there. And so those girls became like my study partners, my traveling partners, like literally like my lifelong friends. And those people I genuinely appreciate because I really don't think that I would have made it this far without them, their notes, them letting me use them as practice for like learning physical exam skills and things like that. And then outside of that, just like my friends and my family, I have like a group of riders that I have been super close with since Montclair. And it's like, it's crazy to think that like I met a lot of these people 10 plus years ago. And it's like, we're still thick as thieves. You know what I mean? We still go on vacation together. We still ask about each other's moms and dads. And you know what I mean? Like you still want to get invited to the cookout. So it's nice that I have all those, resources and just people to uplift me when my day is just hectic and crazy.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I have this other question, like, what's the difference between a resident and an attending?
Okay. So a resident is essentially someone that has graduated medical school but it's considered a doctor, but it's still essentially practicing or like learning all the tips and tricks in the specialty that they choose, right? So medical school, again, is very comprehensive, right? You need to know a little bit about everything because most people don't decide what they want to do until like their third year. So your residency, it's literally specific to your specialty that you're choosing, and you are still considered a doctor. But the resident has to report to an attending. The attending is like the head honcho of that department, that team, that service, and essentially is the one that everyone responds to. So they have to sign off on all the treatment and notes and things like that. And essentially they're overseeing the residents and the medical students that are around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Broke it down. You know, Grey's Anatomy, Eve's Anatomy in this one. Okay?
Right.
All right. So as we work it towards more of the present, are you leaning towards any specialty practice? You already talked about the population that you fell in love with, so I know who you want to work with. But is there any specialty you see yourself providing once you graduate?
So not completely sure, which is crazy because it's like I need to pick like now. It's like I don't want to do surgery. I'm not interested in like neurology. I'm not really interested in like family medicine, which is like, you know, like your everyday physician.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of liked ped psychiatry, which is like, I only got to see a glimpse of that. That's like one of those rare things that I feel like they don't have like as much in this area. I love labor and delivery, right? The pregnant women, wow, beautiful beings. Like, I love that. But like, again, like if you want to do certain things, it's like, you have to understand that your residency is going to encompass all other aspects, right? So it's like, let's say for psychiatry, I would have to do things like in the ED, or like what we call crisis, like patients that are like either severely agitated or like of danger to themselves or like other people. It's like, those are the things that I would have to endure, right? Essentially through my residency until I like subspecialize. So it's like, even though I may like ped psych, I may like OB, I like the emergency room. It's like all these things have, you know what I mean? The good and the bad. So it's like, I haven't really decided what I want to, you know, invest the next few years of my life doing, you know, before I become the head honcho.
Is there anything that I should ask you about med school that I don't know enough to ask?
Wow. Wow. I guess we can briefly touch on the application process. I don't really know if it's still the same.
Okay.
But like, essentially, you need to take the MCAT. You need to have certain prerequisite courses, right, for medical school. Most schools list that on their website. You don't have to major in anything science. And I think a lot of people don't know that, right? You can major in psychiatry, psychology, anthropology, history, whatever you name it. And then you can go back and take your prerequisites, or if you already took them, you know, at the same time, cool. Take your MCAT. Essentially, you apply. I think the application opens in like early summer, and then you will have interviews. You will do secondary applications, then you'll have interviews, and then you kind of go from there on deciding. And then I think by like March, May, sometime around there, like you have to have like made your final decision of like where you want to attend, and like you can only essentially be holding one acceptance into a medical school at that time, whatever date. But everything is pretty much listed on like the AMCAS website, or even pick any school that you're interested in, and they'll kind of have a lot of the resources, and then you can just kind of stem from there to find out other information.
Yes, and thank you. Excellent resources right there, right? The process. So let me pull on that a little bit. What was the secondary interview? I'm imagining you got to do a personal statement, but then can you tell me about this secondary interview?
Yeah, so it's an application that I think the questions are more geared towards like the school and like their, what's it called?
Like mission statement?
Exactly, their mission statement.
Got you.
So your MCAS application is very like generic, like your work experience, your activities, your credits, you know what I mean? Like they're asking you a lot of the basic stuff. And then you also do your personal statement. But again, the secondary application is more specific for that school. And then from there, if they like you, they'll start sending out the invites.
Okay. And so I remember there was some other some other schools in the runnings besides Rutgers. Where else was you considering? I know you end up going to a great school, so we ain't. I'm a Rutgers grad too. We ain't about to put us down. We ain't about to put us down. But who else was almost in the running to get you? E?
Oh man, I was so close to going to Morehouse. When I tell you, literally, I was so stressed. I was so stressed because I love Morehouse. Like, wow. And I was like, do I really want to uproot my whole life? I have no support down there. And everyone's like, med school is going to be, you know, crazy. You might need the support. I'm like, nah, I'm about to just risk it all and just go. I was like, I don't really care. And then literally, I don't know what made me stay and consider Rutgers, like for real. But I'm glad that I made the choice just because med school was literally hectic. So it's like, I can imagine if I wasn't as close to my support system, how that would have impacted me.
Word.
But you know, I really would have went to Morehouse. Howard they didn't want me, so you know, I was a little soft, but it's all right. It's okay.
It's all good. It's all good.
Right.
Y'all getting it all right now. Y'all getting it all. I didn't even know about Morehouse. I knew about Howard. I didn't know about Morehouse. That would have been dope.
Yeah.
That would have been dope. But you know, God got other plans. It's all good. It's
Exactly.
all good.
Exactly.
You mentioned several times about your support system. Anyone specifically in this tribe that's supporting the first lady that you want to give a shout out to, that's been rooting you on, that's been riding with you? Anybody, any group of people, anyone specifically you want to shout out?
Dang, like it's not in any particular order, but like my girls, Alice, Alaba, Monique, my Montclair girls, that's just way too many. So I'm not even gonna say so I'm not even gonna say them. But
The Montclair mob, which is
right,
name.
exactly. And then of course my parents and my siblings. So they've been riding with me forever. So
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Where do you see yourself after you complete your goal?
Wow. Where? Oh man, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like I can go anywhere. Well, anywhere like along, I guess, like the East Coast. I definitely want to be in an underserved community for sure. And then just hopefully like doing the best that I can be doing in my career, and you know, making an impact, and like hopefully inspiring other people, you know, to follow my footsteps.
Respect. All good stuff. All good stuff.
Right.
All right, a very, very serious question here. What are you gonna do with all your Scout miles and no Carnival to go to?
Let me tell you, we're not even listen. Wow, that hurt. Okay, because I was definitely supposed to go to a couple last year, and you know, COVID was just in the way.
Fam. Like I socked away so much money. I've been in Cali like 3 years, going on 4, and I finished up my program out there, and I was going to Africa. You know, the year of return was the
Yes.
Listen. When I tell you I had the dough lined up, it was, and that junk hit. Oh man, crazy. So I feel you.
It's funny because like I was supposed to go to St. Lucia Carnival last summer, and so I promise you, I paid for my costume in full, right? I'm like, okay, I'm about to drop bread on this costume because this is the last time I'm gonna really do this for real. You know, I'm like, I'm trying to become a doctor. I can't be having pictures out here and me looking wild. But I'm like, okay, let me do this for real. I paid for my costume, and when I tell you a week later, everything shut down. I was like, so wait, am I not gonna get my money? Am I not gonna get my money back? And then they're like, no, we're just gonna roll everything to 2021. I'm like, okay, great, I can do 2021. And I'm like, but we're still in a panoramic. So I'm like, so can I get my costume at least? Can you just ship it to me? Like, that's all I want.
Unprecedented times. That's all I can say.
For sure.
But no, that would have been. I only know about Antigua. And the vibe was so great. I always spoil things for myself. So like I did Antigua first, and then I went to Brooklyn, and it was just a different vibe. No shade, BK, no shade.
So St. Lucia, put that on your list. That for sure will be love. Like from like top to bottom, head to toe, left, right, everything. Like you're legit. Like wow, breathtaking. I literally was like, I'm about to move here. I'm about to buy land and live here because these people, like the culture,
Yes.
everything was just so amazing. People were just so genuine. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, like this type of energy that I need to fuel me every day.
Totally agree. Enough said. Enough said. All right. And you didn't bring it up a couple times. So how important is your faith to you?
Wow. I wouldn't be here without my faith. It's something that I struggle to like be consistent with, right? Just because, you know, like I am human and sometimes I let other things take precedence when they shouldn't. But like I do my best to like do my prayer sessions in the morning and night, read my Bible, go to church every week. Well, you know, online church now because Corona's in the way. But yeah, I try and do that as much as possible. Sometimes it's like medical school is just literally in the way and it's just like it's not feasible, but like I still make sure I at least try and just pray for myself and like, you know, burn some sage every now and then because we gotta remove the negative energy all year long because 2020 was enough. 2020 was enough.
Yeah, she hit me with the sage. I wasn't expecting that, fam. I wasn't expecting that. But I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, it's something you can go to when you need it.
Right, for sure.
No perfect, always a progress, but I feel you. I feel
Exactly.
you. Yeah. All right, now we ready for these quick hits, man. Your go-to song for 2020 and any recommendations for 2021
Wow. Go-to song. That's so
for
difficult.
whatever situation, whether it's study, exercise, or just
Okay.
whatever.
So it's gonna be a gospel song, which is crazy. It's gonna be what is it? I think it's called In Victory or Walking in Victory.
Okay.
That was like my go-to because every time, you know, the devil just tried to get me down, I was like, you know what? I'm walking in victory or like encourage yourself. That's another good one. And it's just like how
Okay.
every day you have to encourage yourself and know that like you got this, right? And then what was your other question?
Anything that's or you could still be rocking the same ones in 2021, but anything grabbed your ear in 2021?
Oh man. A lot of the new carnival songs, right? They have playlists.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Jasmine Sullivan, even though you know the topic was a little, the album was fire, phenomenal. And that's pretty much all that I've listened to so far. But I'm gonna still keep it to a lot of the classics. I still listen to the old school Trey songs and Chris Brown and Fantasia. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yo, she can blow, man. She
right,
can sing. So I
right.
feel you. I feel you. She don't get all the props, but she can blow.
I know.
Um, man, you in school, so this might not fly, but book you haven't read yet, but want to.
Oh, so I want to read Barack's book.
Okay.
Because I love Michelle. First of all, shout out to, you know, our forever first lady, Miss Obama. Because I read her book, I went to one of her shows, and she's just phenomenal. So I feel like I have like the same expectations for Barack. So yeah, I would love to read his book.
He's smooth. He's smooth. I feel you.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite food?
Wow. I don't really have one. I like everything. I'm not even gonna lie. I do. Yeah, I love Haitian food, right? Obviously, I'm
Of
Haitian.
course. Of course.
I love some good griot and some rice. I love a good
John
pizza.
John.
Right, exactly. I love a good pizza every now and then. I love some good tacos. Oh, you know what my weakness is? French fries. That will forever be my weakness. So I guess that's my favorite.
Okay. Okay. Um, top three destinations you haven't been to yet. So
Wow.
it's on your hit list. You intending to get there.
Yeah, by the grace of God, 2022 has better plans for us, but Bali for sure. Dubai, which is crazy that I haven't been to Dubai yet. And then I want to do like what is it, Yacht Week and like Croatia. Like that is for sure on my top three.
You bringing the heat, yo. I gotta do the look away. Okay. That's what's up. That's what's up. Okay. And last but not least, what's guaranteed to bring a smile to your face? You think of this person, this place, this thing, and you just start cracking up.
Oh wow. Music or like carnival. Like my carnival experiences are like Like I
Yeah.
can remember exact moments when like, I don't know, we couldn't find people or like somebody lost a shoe or whatever. And you're just still like laughing and running and just like, so carefree.
Juve. Yeah, it's a beautiful vibe. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful vibe.
Yeah.
Well, we made it through. My cheeks don't hurt from smiling for once. You know what I mean?
I know.
I want to thank you for taking the time. Thank you for waking me up in the middle of the night. 'Cause the time difference, nah, it's cool. But I hope you enjoyed yourself.
No, I definitely did. Thank you for having me. It's always good to see you. And I'm so glad that we've kept in touch like all these years because it's crazy. It's been like, what, 10 years, right? Or about to be 10 years.
Where I graduated in 2013, and you was like 1 year behind, right?
Yeah. Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know that's what I'm saying. Like, it don't feel like it, but time is moving, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Well, family, y'all got it straight from the first lady, YVE.
Yeah.
She gave us so much information. Um, are you on LinkedIn or anything? Well, she,
Ooh, no, I'm not on LinkedIn, which I should be. I can definitely give my email, my school email.
yeah.
And if you guys have any questions, definitely reach out. I can share my Konnect for my tutor. I can read personal statements. I can just be an overall guide in general if you want to pursue this process. So yeah, should I say on this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so it is Y as in yellow, C as in cat, 787 at N as in Nancy, J as in Jaguar, M as in mom, as in Sam, .rutgers.edu. So YC787 at njms.rutgers.edu.
All right, everyone. Um, Fellas, ladies, let's help get those numbers up. Those
Yeah,
black physicians, let's do it.
yeah.
We got Eve, we got her gang up at Rutgers in the study hall, and that's that library over by the high school, right?
Yes,
When you talking
across
about
the
the
science high. Yeah.
yeah. I snuck in there a couple times, so I had to
You
change
know
up the
how
venue.
it is.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. All right, everybody, that's all we got for episode 3. Eve, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yup. Episode 4 soon come. Check us out in the lab.